It's football season. Let's go. It is time for the Colts to take the field. They have reported to camp down in Westfield at Grand Park, and they are ready to start their 2025 season. Let's talk Colts football. Let's talk Indiana Fever. Let's talk Fort Wayne TinCaps. Hey, welcome to a special Tuesday edition of the Sports Rush. I am Brett Rump. Glad to have you with me. And don't forget, you always want to subscribe to the channel by going and clicking that little subscribe button. And make sure you share our channel with your friends. Encourage them to also subscribe. And make sure you hit the thumbs up for the like. And if you have a comment, we would love to have you add a comment because we do read the comments. In our next video, we will try to address some of those comments. But the Colts have reported. And what are we watching for with this Indianapolis Colts squad in the preseason? Well, all eyes pretty much on the quarterback position, where Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson go head to head, competing for the starting job. It is a very polarizing battle. You've got many who have already turned the page on Anthony Richardson. You have some who don't believe Daniel Jones was the right pickup to lead this particular football team. I think the Colts do have the potential to be a playoff team. I think they've got that opportunity in front of them. But I'm not sure with the quarterback selection that Chris Ballard has made if they will be good enough. And, I find it interesting that Chris Ballard going into this season, he has kind of skirted with the somewhat cautiously generous support of Jim Irsay over the course of the last couple of years. I think Jim Irsay was losing patience with Chris Ballard. But Jim Irsay, of course, passes away. And now, what will it mean for the future of Chris Ballard? This has to be a pretty darn good season for the Indianapolis Colts. Chris Ballard has to show with an aggressive offseason that the strings he pulled were the right strings. And that's going to be important to show new leadership with the Indianapolis Colts. They've got the right guy calling the shots in Chris Ballard. And I think that's been a big question mark for Ballard's, 8 years, 9 years? I think this is his 8th or 9th season. I think that's been one of the question marks with the Indianapolis Colts. Do they have the right guy at the top? And the quarterback playout is going to tell us exactly whether or not Chris Ballard's the right guy for this position. He went ahead and with a number 4 overall pick in a draft, took Anthony Richardson despite subpar stats, despite a lack of experience as a starting quarterback at Florida. He went with the potential that he was a freakish athlete. He could provide a dual threat. He had a strong arm, and that he could be made into a quality franchise quarterback in the NFL. So far, that gamble has not paid off. He's been oft injured. He has not exactly been accurate, completing only about 50% of his passes. And so this is a huge year, not only for Anthony Richardson, but for Chris Ballard. And I think there might be some pressure on Shane Steichen to find reasons to start Anthony Richardson, because unless Chris Ballard gets a chance to see Anthony Richardson go out there and actually perform, then Chris Ballard will have made a mistake with a very lofty draft pick by selecting Anthony Richardson and basically wasting a couple of years with this Colts offense. They had tried the route of bringing in free agents. That didn't work. This is post Andrew Luck, by the way. Then they decided we finally got the draft pick. We're going to go after our guy. And their guy ended up being the 3rd quarterback taken, although Bryce Young hasn't exactly sparkled in Carolina. C.J. Stroud's been pretty decent in Houston. But then Anthony Richardson was the 3rd quarterback taken in that draft. A lot of pressure on the Colts to take the quarterback. Was there too much pressure to take him? But now it's Anthony Richardson having to prove that he is a top 5 pick in a draft. And he's got to do it against Daniel Jones, who was a top 10 pick for the New York Giants. So it's a couple of pretty lofty draft picks going head to head, but is the talent there to lead a football team into the playoffs? Because that's where it almost starts and stops for most NFL squads, is what kind of quarterback play do you get if you want to be a playoff team? And quite honestly, at this point, I believe, based on what we've seen, that Daniel Jones is the better quarterback between the two. Comes in with more starting experience. He's certainly a capable runner. He might not be quite the runner that Anthony Richardson is, but he's capable. And Anthony Richardson is so inaccurate at 50% that you've got Daniel Jones looking like a Hall of Famer with over 65%. So I like Daniel Jones in this matchup. I think the pressure's on to start Anthony Richardson, but I think Daniel Jones deserves to be the starter for the Indianapolis Colts. And I mentioned this earlier on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can follow me at Brett Rump Sports, but I asked the question, if Anthony Richardson was not a number 4 pick in the draft, if he was instead, let's say, taken in the 5th round, the debate this year would not be, should Anthony Richardson start? The debate this year would be, should Anthony Richardson earn a spot on the roster? Think about it. If you take that tag and that label of being a top 4 pick, where there is so much pressure for you to deliver in that initial rookie contract, if you take that away and say he was a 5th round pick, you would be questioning at this point in his career, should he even be counted on as a backup on this roster? Or is it time for Riley Leonard to maybe earn that spot? I really feel that way. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment on the comment section of this video. But that was the question. If you took away the label of being a top 5 pick and the expectations and projections of what Anthony Richardson could be if he reached his potential, and you just said, hey, he's a 5th rounder, we'll give him a look, and if he doesn't deliver in a couple, 2-3 years, we can move on. If he was that 5th round pick, wouldn't you be debating in social media whether Anthony Richardson should even be on the Colts roster? Not whether or not he should beat out Daniel Jones, an experienced starter in the NFL, for the starting quarterback position. Hey, somewhere else we're going to be watching tight end. How do the Colts play with a relatively deep room, but the clear talent to me is going to be the rookie Tyler Warren. But I think they got 2 or 3 guys they can rotate in there at tight end. How are they going to use them? What kind of reps are they going to give out here in training camp? But clearly one of the important positions to watch is linebacker, where the Colts are going to have to overcome a couple of losses. Zaire Franklin is back, but who's going to be lining up next to him? And how good will that linebacker core be, and can opposing defenses or offenses expose that area of the Colts defense? It seems like defense is all about building the perimeter. Corners, safeties, and outside rushers. That seems to be where the priority has been in defenses, and I think the Colts took some steps this offseason to get better in all those areas. But what about right up the gut? What about linebacker? And are they going to be good enough at linebacker to kind of stabilize or finalize that defense? Give me your thoughts. Leave a comment. You can always also weigh in and send me a message on X. Easy to find at Brett Rump Sports on Twitter/X. All right, so tonight the Fever get back at it as the WNBA returns to action after the All-Star weekend. I okay, so this still kind of gets me that as part of the All-Star weekend, you had CBA negotiations kind of to kick off the weekend, where it's reported that over 40 players filled the room to try to be a part of the CBA, which number one, nothing's going to get accomplished with 40 people in the room. Generally, a CBA is going to be negotiated with a couple of people from the players' side, a couple of people from the NBA or WNBA side, and you're going to hash out some details and start to build the framework of a contract. Sometimes it starts with money, sometimes it starts with a lot of the little details. Generally, what they're going to probably do is go through, look at the previous CBA, and make sure they check mark everything that they agree on from the previous CBA, then try to determine where they need to make their changes. But the process just isn't going to work with that many people involved. I don't know, the message putting on the shirt, what does that mean? Are they trying to rally public support? Because they certainly didn't help themselves by saying, pay us what we deserve, and then and then going out and playing an awful all-star game. If you want to make it look like you deserve money, you've got to go out and play like you're worthy of that money. And they didn't. That All-Star game was an abomination. That was just horrible. So the WNBA gets back to action tonight. The Fever are in New York to take on the Liberty. They will not have the services of Caitlin Clark, still injured. I tell you what, this injury, it's a pain, and we know it is a pain in the groin area with a groin muscle. But the thing is, she's seeing some specialists in New York City while the Fever are there, trying to get some outside opinions on what's going to be the best process for healing, what needs to happen for her to heal fully, so it isn't a lingering injury. And it seems to me like one thing's led to another. And, you get the therapy on one thing, you overcompensate, and then something else happens. So she just does need to get healthy. But tonight's a big game. The Fever starting their second half. They need some wins here in the second half. The first half wasn't good enough. But as Coach Stephanie White has expressed, it takes a little time to gel with new players being part of the rotation and having to overcome the loss of Caitlin Clark. But you've had experience in doing that. And now you've also had the experience of playing together. No excuses. It's time to lock up on D like you did in Minnesota or against the Las Vegas Aces, and lock up and play some D so that you can win if maybe you're not at your best offensively. But it's a big game tonight against the Liberty, and of course Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart, among others, for a very talented Liberty squad. That game's going to be a national broadcast on ESPN. By the way, if you ever want to catch John Nolan doing the games, of course he does the Fever games now on radio. It's only in Indianapolis. And I know locally we would love to have them on 1380, but they're not right now offering affiliation. So can't carry it. But if you would like to listen to John, you can do that because it's available on the stream. And you can simply go to 1075 The Fan down in Indianapolis, click listen live, and catch John Nolan and Bria Goss with the coverage of the Fever and the New York Liberty tonight at 8 o'clock. TinCaps, speaking of, they get back at it tonight. They've got a road trip this week after a weekend in Lake County where they dropped 2 of 3. The TinCaps are at Cedar Rapids, where the two teams split in a 6-game series at Parkview Field a month ago. And, of course, all the TinCaps action can be heard on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Hey, you know what? We are 1 month away from the start of the high school football season. And I do have to say, we need some support. We need some sponsorship. We really count on our area businesses. And this year, more than ever, more than ever, decisions are being made based on your support. And if you believe in what we do and the commitment and passion that we go about it, we would love to have you be one of our sponsors. It's probably less than you expect. We're in this as a partnership. We're not in there to try to make withdrawals from your ATM. We just need some help. That's what we need. We need help from area businesses that believe broadcasting high school sports is a good service for the community, and you're happy to back us and help support us in our effort to do it. Something I'm passionate about, and if you'd like to support it, please get a hold of me. You can DM me. I can send you the information. Neither one of us wants to spend a whole lot of time on setting up a partnership, but if you could perhaps, drop a little something to try to help as a token of appreciation of our efforts on Friday night. I mean, nobody commits 5 hours starting at 6 o'clock up till 11 o'clock doing high school football like we do. We would really appreciate your support. Really appreciate your support. All right, that does it for tonight. Ozzie Osbourne passes away. Those in my generation, Ozzie, all-time legend. He was the metal era. When it comes to rock, Ozzie Osbourne defined rock music for my generation. It is almost fitting that Ozzie, despite the battle with Parkinson's, was able to have a farewell concert just 2 weeks ago. And 76 years old, Ozzie Osbourne has passed away. RIP, and our thoughts and deepest sympathies go to the Osbourne family. All right, that's it. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon.